Good afternoon. I'm Al McFarlane. Welcome to a special edition of Conversations with Al McFarlane. Every day at noon for the balance of the year, the balance of this month, we're talking to community leaders, elders, organizers, workers, government officials, agency heads about how our community is navigating the COVID-19 pandemic. A lot of organizations are doing great work supported by the city of Minneapolis, the Hennepin and Ramsey County, supported by the state of Minnesota, trying to give our people the tools, the resources they need to be safe, stay safe, to create kind of a narrative that allows us to go through our day with the protocols that keep us safe, keep us alive. Well, what do you do with children? I'm pleased to have as a guest for today, Suzanne Burks. Suzanne is the executive director of Phyllis Wheatley Community Center, and they have a storied child care resource called the Mary T. Welcome Child Care. Is that the right name, Suzanne? So I wanted to ask you what's going on with children. How do you help families who are children that have children when mom and dad need to work, or if they're a first responder? What is our community doing to help those families? So good afternoon, and
Good afternoon.
Tell us the story, Suzanne.
Okay, good. Well, thanks for having me on, Al. I really appreciate it and appreciate your support of our organization and what we're trying to do. Mary T. Welcome Child Development Center has been in existence a long time. We recently received a grant from Hennepin County, actually, that's focused on essential workers. And the whole idea behind it is that we want to be able to provide support, meaning on first and second shift for families. So that's a little new, going to second shift. And then also possibly if we have enough families, we can go to third. But the idea is, first of all, we're one of the few centers that's actually open. Mm-hmm. And we've done a lot, and I'll speak to that in a minute, around what we've done to prepare the safety for the children in the center itself. But anyway, Hennepin County, they provided this grant. And what we're able to do is provide $3,000 vouchers for families, because a lot of our families, they get assistance or so forth, but then most of the time it runs out before the end of the year. Mm-hmm. And so this will help for existing families, but it's also designed to help with those that are truly classified as essential workers. And again, first and second shift will be available. We're also providing families with meals, mm-hmm. Hot meals, as well as other food delivery methods that we've collaborated with others. So the idea is that, they're working hard all day, and it would be nice to give them a meal for their families to take home with them. So that's the other part of it. What we've also done is, of course, we're following all the CDC requirements, but part of that is special disinfecting that we're doing in all of the childcare areas, the rooms, for all the children. And then there's, various cleanups during the day, but, these are extra steps that we need to take and felt like we need to take in order for the children to be safe.
How many children are you serving right now, and what's your capacity?
Our capacity is 54, mm-hmm. and we're at about 41.
Okay, so it's there.
So we would love to have more, come and bring their children there. And again, that's why the support is there, that we can use the vouchers to help with the families too. And
so by first and second shift, you mean open, at 6 in the morning, 6 to 3 or 6 to 2, is that it?
Yeah, up until, so what is it? The second shift is 3 to 11. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So again, it's just going to be depending on demand, but we certainly now have the capacity to do that.
That's fantastic. Let's give people Phyllis Wheatley 101, because somebody listening today might not know the story, what Phyllis Wheatley is, who Phyllis Wheatley was, and why this organization is named Phyllis Wheatley Community Center, and what the critical role this organization has played in the life of Minnesota's Black community.
Well, thank you so much for that question. Phyllis Wheatley is actually a 96-year-old organization. We're classified as a legacy organization. It was founded because when Black people first came to Minnesota, they couldn't stay at the hotels. So it was a settlement house. And a lot of the famous people, stayed there. Langston Hughes and a number of other people stayed at Phyllis Wheatley because they couldn't stay anyplace else. So it kind of transformed over the years from a settlement house And then it also provided training for Black people that were able to then go and get jobs. So it was job training. And then it evolved into a community center, still honoring the name of Phyllis Wheatley, who was one of the first Black poets, actually. And so it was named in her honor. And, we continue to provide, basically think about wraparound services and support for youth, children, youth, and families. We used to provide a lot more programming for youth at the center because of our partnership with the park. Mm-hmm. And then COVID changed a lot of things, as you can imagine. So, but most of the time it's been focused on children, youth, and families, and providing those nurturing and learning services, for the children, youth, and families.
One thing that made Phyllis Wheatley unique was its property. It owned a resort, I think it's called, or it's some.
It was a camp. It's a camp, and we still own it. It's 106 acre camp in Carver County, which is about an hour or so west of the Twin Cities. And we're actually in the process of, we're going to start to redevelop it, actually. Mm-hmm. And we hope to have a day camp next year. Mm-hmm. And then also other services that, the community in general can use. We recently received a very large grant from the LCCMR. And so that's going to help us conserve, the majority of those acreage. And then we can still then figure out how we're going to build. So about 100 of those acreage are going to be conserved. Mm-hmm. And then the other, about 10 acres, then we'll be able to redevelop or develop, some of the cabins and other things to, really improve the camp itself.
That's so critical, I think, to keep our people connected to both the outdoors and the opportunity to be at a camp, particularly in the summertime. Maybe you'll do year round, I don't know, but it's nice to have that asset in the community. And Phyllis Wheatley has been a wonderful steward of our culture, our community, and of assets like that. So what's it like now operating Phyllis Wheatley during COVID-19? How has your program changed? You don't do youth things because nobody is doing youth work at the moment. So what does it mean for you right now?
Well, obviously it's challenging for us as well as, many others. Now, one thing we have been able to do is we are still offering in person, if you will, group sessions for our adult programming that we do. We have a trauma and a truancy program that we are still doing. The truancy program is mainly virtual. Mm-hmm. And then we have someone go out and really help with the families and connect that way versus having them come into the center. In our multi-purpose room, we became a Comcast Lift Zone. And thank you, by the way, for introducing us to Ron Orlando, mm-hmm. because that's really helped us build the internal bandwidth to offer some of the new programming that we're going to be doing in the center. And that's allowed us to set it up where it's COVID friendly, meaning that we have tables and plexiglass dividers that will allow people to have the social distancing and still be able to participate. And that's going to be a part of our overarching program called a Digital TechWorks Academy, which we're doing with Microsoft, their Microsoft Manco program, by the way, which we'll launch on Saturday.
Okay.
And this is focused on young boys between the ages of 12 and 17. And it's going to teach them life skills. It's an 8-week session, life skills, and then it exposes them to things like coding and AI and a number of technical areas that would be of significance to them and for career thinking, for them to think about careers. And then ultimately what we want to do at the end of that, so it'll be the first quarter of next year, which would be Video Gaming League. Mm-hmm. And this is something that they can do. I mean, they're probably playing games now, but.
And they're good at it and they love it. Yeah, capture their interest.
It lets them know that what are you learning? You're learning so many critical skills when you're playing a video game. You're learning logistics, you're learning strategy. So there's a number of things that we want to expose them to help them understand while they're playing a video game, there's actually careers that you can go into when you're doing that. You can actually design a video game. So part of our curriculum is going to be for them to understand that they could actually design video games. They can go to college, and we're setting up kind of that whole pipeline for them to be able to consider doing that. But it's all going to be based on them being a part of a league that will eventually lead them to some career opportunities.
And so will that be virtual or in person or both?
Both.
So you've got, tell me about the Comcast project, that program. Describe that so people can know about it and get involved in it.
Well, I mean, it's really great because what they're trying to do is, I think they're trying to develop at least 100 Comcast LIP zone sites.
Mm-hmm.
And what they come in and do is they come in and make sure that each organization has the bandwidth to be able to have, multiple users on the network, as an example.
Mm-hmm.
And so they came in and they actually upgraded and installed and upgraded, our internet, so that we now have the capacity to have up to 100 people on the internet at one time.
That's huge. That's wonderful. And you mentioned gaming. Let me introduce you to Kelvin. This will be surprising to him, but Kelvin Curia, who produces the show, who's actually running the stream, is a gamer, and he's a young, I call him a young genius, just one of the forward thinkers in that gaming space. And Kelvin, you can react if you want to jump on the call for a second, because I think it's wonderful that an organization like Phyllis Wheatley is making that a dedicated operational program for getting more Black kids into gaming. And Kelvin, what do you see as the both the opportunity to get our kids focused on possibilities in gaming? Can you jump on, Kelvin, for a second?
Yeah. I think for the most part, I just think it's like a really great way to take people away from what they see like every day. Like when you're in a game, it's a whole new world. Like it's just an easy way to escape reality and just have fun, even with your friends, because it's like online. So, and it keeps you out from outside and out away, at least more than 6 feet away from people.
But one of the things that it in mind, because one, I think it fits in with COVID and really to keep the social distancing. But the other piece of it is, I had a client, Northrop Grumman, and when I went out to their facilities in Torrance, California, we went into a simulated war room. And guess what it looked like they were doing? Playing a video game. Mm-hmm. And those jobs start at $65,000 a year. So, before I came and as I was interviewing, I pitched the idea to the board to say, first of all, if we could do this, it not only fits with COVID, but it also fits with, having these young people think about what the career possibilities are. They're already probably doing this anyway. Mm-hmm. But they need to see what all of the opportunities are, behind all of that, so they can actually design the video games. There's all kinds of careers, that they can consider, being a part of that. But the other part now is, they can make serious money now, because what we want to do as part of a league, this is international, it's global. It's a $1 trillion business industry. Mm-hmm. And if we sponsor these young people to compete in the competitions, I mean, they're like major stadium events. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of them, they're doing them virtually now, but literally there's a young man, in just one example, he made $150,000 from competing in these video gaming, leagues. Mm-hmm. And so for me and for Phyllis Wheatley, in trying to think of new programming, things that are innovative, but that are right on time, if you will, mm-hmm. This is an opportunity for us to sponsor these young people to go in and compete and make money.
Are there any leagues?
Their families.
Are there any leagues like that right now in the Twin Cities Black community?
Yes, there are. But the other thing too is, most of our community members are young people, mm-hmm. young Black people. Let's just put it that way. Mm-hmm. They're not competing.
Okay.
They're not engaged. And so this is a, I think, one of those new opportunities, new points of entry into a market mm-hmm. that's truly right for us mm-hmm. and our kids.
Amazing. That's wonderful. Brenda, you have any questions or comments that you want to join the conversation? Brenda Lyle Gray is our columnist and writer, and is helping document these conversations with partners in the community who are responding to COVID-19, but also elevate the fact that we all are doing a lot of great work. Brenda, jump in.
I just think it's great, as a former educator, The opportunity is just infinite. So bravo to you.
Good comment. There we go. So, Suzanne, we didn't give people the address for Phyllis Wheatley, and we didn't give them the phone number and the website. So you might want to share that and invite people to show up, and also to donate, to support the work in ways that you can engage the support of the community.
Okay, great. Well, the address is 1301 10th Avenue North, Minneapolis 55411. And the website is www.phylliswheatley.org. And we've got a lot of this information about the new programming areas, as well as our existing services that we offer, all listed on the website.
Great. Suzanne, let me ask you, just to deflect a little bit, how you feel about the outcome of the national election. This is a big pivot, but I would be remiss not asking you, because you have been a player in Washington, D.C. politics as a consultant and organizer for years. And what's your assessment of what's going to happen with the advent of the first African-American woman becoming vice president of our country?
Well, and I love politics, so this is right up my alley. Well, first of all, I think Kamala Harris is going to be an outstanding vice president. And I think that President-elect Biden is going to ensure that she has something meaningful to do as vice president. I think he's going to take the same strategy that President Obama took with him. Mm-hmm. And she'll be able to make a significant impact. And I don't think it will just be in the criminal justice area, kind of that's always the fallback. But I think she's going to really look at a lot around truly making a difference in the urban areas around the country. I think she's going to do a lot around, the businesses. So really helping with, because most of the, in terms of small business, a large percentage of that is in the African-American community. And obviously because of COVID, businesses have been hit so hard. So I think that she's going to have a big role in ensuring that the next COVID package is going to be strong. The CARES package is going to be strong, and it's going to be targeted, particularly in, the urban areas or in Black communities. I think she'll have a role in that. The other, as a person who I still commute between Minneapolis and Atlanta, and I know Stacey Abrams really, really well. And I believe that the two Democratic candidates are going to win. First of all, I think the Republicans are imploding. Mm-hmm. I don't think they know what to do because of President Trump and how he's acting. They're like afraid of him. Well, he's just a bully. Mm-hmm. But the organization the on the ground organization that she put together is so strong that the key is people just have to get back out and vote. Mm-hmm. And I think people understand the seriousness of the decision and the vote and what that is going to really matter going forward. If those two things happen, if Georgia actually elects the two Democratic candidates, then I think all of the effort and all of the platform, if you will, Biden and Harris, I think they're going to be able then to carry that out. Otherwise, I think it's going to be very difficult. And I think the other thing too is it's going to go back to maintaining that pressure from a community perspective to hold folks accountable no matter what.
Mm-hmm. And so speaking to that, how do organizations like Phyllis Wheatley and Hattie Q. Brown in St. Paul and the Urban League and North Point seize the moment? I think we're at a major turning point, a decision point. For what America is going to be. Will it be our America, or will we be kept at the margin? There are forces, obviously, seeking to turn the clock back and to put us back where we are, in a sense, more permanently marginalized. I think the force from within is one that demands full equity, full access, full recognition of our role, our history, and full recognition of our right to be at the table where the future is being written, that we are co-creators in the future. And so how do you, as a leader of a legacy institution and as a political force, encourage our people to prepare And what kinds of things should we be doing to make sure that we don't let this moment get past with us not doing what we need to do for ourselves and for community and country?
Yeah, I mean, that's all great questions and thought around that. I think two things come to mind right away. One is, I think when I say we can't let the pressure, we have to continue to put the pressure on, but we have to continue to educate people that your vote really does matter, but your organizing matters just as much. And we can't just do it right before an election. So we have to continue to organize, continue to make sure that we have our own platform and be very clear about what we want and what we want for our community, and then hold these elected officials accountable. What a lot of communities do that I don't think we do as well, and this is to me an opportunity, is we need to have our own PACs. Mm-hmm. We need to have our own political action, committees. And to the extent that because that's where the influence is going to really come from. That's part of it. So I think that's a consideration. One of the things I did recently, well, not recently, about 2 years ago in Atlanta, helped form a Black Women's PAC. And so we've targeted Black women. Lucy McGrath is another one too, as an example, when she was running in the 6th Congressional District in Georgia. I mean, we got behind her. And so we raised serious money. When Stacey was running for governor, serious money. And so that's what, we need to really think about, figuring out how we can raise, first of all, identifying really good candidates to run.
Right. Yep.
And making sure that they are trained. And the CBC Institute trains candidates to run for office. Mm-hmm. And we don't have enough time that I can voice my opinion about our current elected officials, but that would be for another conversation. But I do certainly have a point of view on that, just given, past history, but also just now I have a better understanding of how a lot of this works. Mm-hmm. So I think we need to look at current elected officials, identifying those that really need to, we need to have somebody run against them. Mm-hmm. If they're not acting in our best interest, then I think we should look at candidates to run against them. And then I think also, like I said, I think just making sure that we stay on it around, being engaged, making sure that we have our own political agenda, and making sure people know what that agenda is.
Great. Well, listen, we're at the end of this program. Thank you so much. What do you see on the other end of this COVID pandemic for Phyllis Wheatley and for our community? Sort of summarize with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, we're going to be, the next 2 years are still going to be kind of tough, and it'll be both virtual and in person for us. We still have to figure out ways, which we're trying to do now, in terms of providing programming that supports our youth. To me, that's going to be continuing to be important, and the board feels the same way. And so we've got to look at just, being flexible too, and then making sure that we have the safest environment possible for people that do come into the center. And so that we've worked on that as well.
Great. Suzanne, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So nice meeting you.
Oh, you too. You guys have a great day. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
And happy holidays.
You too. Bye-bye.
I'm Al McFarlane. This has been another edition of Conversations with Al McFarlane. We'll be back live again, actually, in about a half an hour for a 1:00 session with Dr. Courtney Belcher. I may be saying the name wrong, but a next program talking about some new health initiatives that we're supporting with Conversations with Al McFarlane. So come back at 1:00 for